Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Your Vibes Podcast. Everybody's got a vibe and a story to tell. Here's this one. I hope you enjoy. This episode is sponsored by Boardable 615. Located in the heart of downtown Dixon, Boardable 615 is your home for craft meats and cheeses, local seasonings and spices, and spunky home decor. Check them out on Facebook or pop in and pay them a visit at their downtown location at 128 North Main Street, Dixon, Tennessee. Hello everybody, what's going on? I am here with a new friend of mine. We connected several weeks ago. Saw her Facebook profile and saw she was once a manager at Skull's Rainbow Room, so it obviously piqued my interest, and then we got to chatting and have pretty much the same vibe on everything going on and where things need to go. So brought her in to kind of get some things recorded and get her side of the story on some things. She's got a lot going on. We've been sitting here chatting for about 30 minutes and a lot to talk about. So we'll squeeze it in here. And without further ado, Miss Morgan Chandler, how are you?
I'm really good. Thanks for having me. Super excited.
Cool. Well, thank you for coming in. I know you're busy and you got to get to Nashville. So we'll kind of just jump right into things. And this true cadence of the podcast is just kind of fill everybody in, as much or as little as you want to as far as your backstory and kind of what you're involved with. And then we can kind of transition into Skulls and your love for hospitality, and then we'll jump into everything you got going on in Burns.
Yeah, absolutely. So backstory on Morgan is I actually was born in Ohio. I tell people I was born and raised here, but we moved here quickly. After I was born, my dad and mom are super hard workers. We come from a farming community there and moved straight this way. We moved to Dixon or to Burns, and went straight into the Burns community and played ball growing up. Everything on the old ballpark, was cheered for the Burns Cowboys, and my brother and sister were both involved. Decided to go back to Ohio State to revisit the roots. Loved it. Did my master's there, and then I actually went through a horrible divorce and came back to Tennessee. It was the perfect timing. I moved back to Nashville, and I could not wait to come back to my roots. So the first day that I visited, I drove in with all four windows down in my car, and it smelled so good, and I thought, I am home. I am so excited to be back. Got off of 182 and drove straight through Burns, came to Dixon, went straight to High Cotton, and which is another story. But that was my favorite place to visit whenever I used to come, and I just felt at home. Just tears rolling down my face, like I cannot wait to move back. So moved back quickly. I actually went to Nashville for a little while, reconnected with somebody that I went to school with, and we got married, and we live in Burns. So I am back home. I put myself through college at Ohio State in the hospitality industry, worked really hard, ended up connecting with someone that we went to school with. He's actually from Burns too. And he said, hey, I know that you're in the industry and we need help real bad at this place. And I'm like, I'm out. Like, I just moved back. Give me a second. And he said, it's this place called Skull's Rainbow Room. And I was like, what? Tell me all about it. So gave me a really great backstory. Skulls is essentially, the building that is in is the Southern Turf Building. So the Southern Turf Building back in the late 1800s was originally a print shop. It printed the first Tennessean. In Printer's Alley, there were, over 30 prints and magazines at the time in the late 1800s, which obviously where it gets its name. After Prohibition hit, whenever they were able to bootleg liquor from the river, they put it up into Printer's Alley, and it became the premier entertainment alley of Nashville. So Skull's Rainbow Room actually was at the very end, and it was the pot of gold at the end of the neon rainbow. Whenever Skull Shulman was murdered in the 90s, it sat empty for about 17 years, and a group of guys took it over, and I was there maybe like 4 or 5 days after it opened.
So you were there right from the start.
Yeah, right from the start. I wasn't GM right from the start, but I came in and then managed, and it was about 2 years into it. It was bought by the Johnny Cash group, Icon Entertainment. And we, it was a great thing in the beginning. It was a great thing in the middle, and it still is a great thing. I stepped down from from that business in that hospitality ring last year after COVID.
So how long were you there?
I was there. Well, I still am there.
Sure.
But I was there for 6 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
wow.
6 years.
And what was there anything else going on in Printers Alley?
Oh no.
Okay.
I mean, there's like Miss Kelly's
Sure.
and Bourbon Street and that kind of thing. But they really took it back to the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Like they really wanted to highlight that era. The chef is amazing. His name's Gannon, who is one of my best mentors. I can't say enough about Gannon. We fight like brother and sister, but that's part of hospitality, right? So he was one of the reasons why I stayed. Another gentleman named Dave, and we all three work together now. Super excited about that. So he essentially got me to realize Southern food, right? So I didn't grow up in the hospitality industry with Southern food. But the very first time I tasted the prime rib, I was like hooked. It's great. So his food's wonderful. But Skulls is the reason that I'm doing what I'm doing now, essentially. So I'm busy. I go all the time. And that's how it is at Skulls. There's a lot of moving parts at all moments. There's live music, jazz every evening. On the weekends, there's burlesque. It was a burlesque bar back in the day. Gannon and David actually just stepped down, and the Icon Entertainment still has it, and it will still be a great thing moving forward. But
and before you go any further,
sure.
When we first started chatting, you and I had admittedly never been. I'd heard of it, and so I definitely had to go before you got on the podcast. And so Anna Claire and I went last Friday and had a blast. I'm talking, it was packed. Me and Anna Claire don't necessarily venture to Nashville, especially not downtown very often, but I mean, and to have reservations at 9:30 that's when I start putting my sweatpants on, but we did it and went, and the food was just, I'd heard for several years that it was the best food in Nashville, and did not disappoint whatsoever. The food was phenomenal. The entertainment was absolutely phenomenal and unique, and the history of the building, like you were saying, is so crazy.
And that's what hooks people immediately. So a lot of people come into town and they're like, where's the best place to eat? Where's the best place to go? And out of every single person that works in the industry, it's definitely Skulls. Because they're welcomed just as much as, the person that's coming from California, the person that's coming from Australia. I have met millions of people and networked with thousands of people because of that place, and it always will be, it always will have a special place in my heart. I tell everybody it was my first baby. So with that being said, the 70 hours a week is a lot. I was the pastry chef as well when I was there. When I was in college and I was still managing restaurants at that time, I would bake pies on Friday for some bars, and we would do Pie Day Friday, and that also helped, add money to the account. So whenever I made a cheesecake and a pie, and I brought it in for all the people, and Gannon was like, you're like, that's it, you're gonna have to be our pastry chef. So I managed that as well, and that's pretty crazy. So the 70 hours a week is a lot. The pressure is a lot, and COVID was hard for everybody. But I also had a 1-year-old at the time, and I was just ready to be a mom. Also, we had just bought back in Burns, and I knew that it was time to bring what I care about the most, which is hospitality and people, and making the answer yes back to my hometown. So I guess that's where we're...
Yeah, here we are with you. I mean, so you worked your way in the hospitality industry enough to pay for college. What'd you get a degree in?
So I have... That's crazy. I have an undergrad in gender studies, psych, and a minor in soc. And then my master's focus was marriage and family therapy. So shortly after my horrible divorce, I thought maybe it wasn't great to get in that industry or to be down that field. So I traveled back to town and then quickly found out that Tennessee is not as accepting for marriage and family therapy degrees as Ohio was. So I ended up pursuing a like a bridge program for mental health, and I loved schools, so I stayed in that. Sure. And I owe a lot of student loans, but it'll pay off one day. Sure. We made the decision to move back to Burns before the housing market craze, which was great. And we have 10 acres. And so we really wanted to like get back to my roots. And that works great.
Just
so we have a little farm.
Replant your seeds a little bit and kind of start over.
Raise our kids in the right light, and essentially how we grew up. And so, my kids are going to grow up in Burns, and that's why I care so much, right? Like I want my kids to have the exact same experience that I did.
Well, when we've been chatting just about how special Burns is and has always been, I've been here since 2012, really officially moved here. My family's lived here, extended family has for several generations, but Burns has always piqued my interest. I've always thought it was, a little bit of an underutilized territory in Dixon County. I mean, just driving through the Ridgely area and several of the other neighborhoods that are just, these phenomenal houses. And, it's in this main vein that goes to Williamson County, and obviously, whatever your thoughts are on the new school there.
County, right?
It does. Yeah. I mean, that entrance and the 172 entrance are really the two main entrances. Now, of course, you got the 163 as well, but those are really the two main entrances. And 172 is obviously got all that commercial business. But Burns is, I've always thought that more development in Burns would be a greater connectivity besides just the highway. And then you've got some commercial stuff. You've got more houses. You've got things like that as well, too. And in our conversations before we started recording, I mean, you've just got some phenomenal ideas as far as kind of how to utilize that uniqueness of that space. So, so you get back into Burns with your family. You've got a nice little farm. Just one daughter, is that right?
Yeah. So, I have a stepson, Brody, but he's also my kid. So we co-parent great. Like we're all one big happy family. Actually, the people that we utilize for doing business with is Brody's mom and stepdad. So we're just it's a great relationship. So
you get back into Burns and you've got these ideas. So where do you start here? Because you've got a lot going on.
So I was still traveling to Nashville every day. Getting home late and getting up early. So I was traveling to Nashville every day, and I reconnect with some people back in Burns, and you just, when you talk to one person and you're like, this is what I want to do, they know it. They know that that's what we need in that community. So we started to focus on bringing back our hospitality and what we do best and how we operate into the community. So small things, I don't know if we want to like divulge into all the fun things that are going to happen, but small things starting with a mini skulls, right? We're not going to call it skulls by any means, but a mini skulls, maybe something along the lines of Turnbull something, and utilize the great community that Burns is to feed the need for a nice dining
white
adventure.
Tablecloth type setting. Well,
I mean, maybe not white tablecloth because that's like crazy.
That's
but nobody wants to get out the crummer, but yeah. So that, and then we also are happy to be in, moving forward with a smaller concept and just waiting on some final logistics with that, and that would be something along the lines of like pizza maybe, and utilizing our zip code for that, and really focusing on the community and what it needs. Burns is young now, right? So everybody's moving to Burns, like they are anywhere, but Burns is a highly, highly sought after community. And it's young, and there's lots of families, and there's lots of kids, and it's an untapped market that we've got to focus on for sure. And as we grow as a community, it's important for us to focus on not only the kids aspect, but also like what the parents want and moving forward. So when I was talking to the mayor one day, I said, we need to do something along the lines of a market just to get people involved. It'd be easy. And he's like, well, we're going to start a farmer's market. I'm like, all right, let's start a farmer's market. So here I am now after our first year. We're still in our first year. Our first year of the Burns Farmer's Market is wonderful. I have poured my heart and soul into the Burns Farmers Market, as so many others have. Our marketing is great. I have this wonderful social media girl, Allie, who's a dear friend now, and she makes us successful, literally, hands down. She does that for us, and then we also do the Burns Tree Market. She pours her heart and soul into everything that she does, just like I do. So we obviously connect great. And then we have now started doing some Friday nights. Friday night markets are so fun. We've got live music. We do the food truck thing. And then it doesn't necessarily keep us into like just farmers, right? Mm-hmm. So we have artisan vendors and some people, somebody does granola and somebody has the produce, and we have the bread lady, and it's a community, it's a family, and that's exactly what we're trying to grow. So the farmers market being our first year, it's going to be a huge thing in the years to come as well. The tree market, the Burns Tree Market, we had a little Christmas time thing last year, which was really, really successful. It's a lot of fun. We created the Hallmark movie out of that, and we're excited to also partner with High Cotton this year and do that again.
Cool.
So outside of Burns, I actually have a large booth in High Cotton. I love Andy Truman. I love High Cotton. I love that it is what Dixon needs it to be. And that's a fun passion of mine, is to be involved with High Cotton a lot. So we'll be doing a lot of things with Burns. And until we have the established businesses, we'll be able to partner with businesses downtown Dixon and connect both communities currently, and make sure that our hospitality, like what we do great, is resonating through all the things that we do.
Yeah, and I think, you're obviously having... This is a lot to take on and a lot to do all within a year of each other. I mean, the farmers market is obviously taking off. And I agree. I think, like we were saying before, Burns is somewhat underutilized. They've got a lot of great space right there with a lot of road frontage. And to bring in so many different types of vendors too is needed. It's not just like you go and there's your fresh vegetables and stuff like that as well too. I think it's really neat how you're bringing in, these artisans of sorts, and then throwing in live music. I mean, going through 2020 and everything getting shut down,
yeah,
and I mean, me and live music go together. Like what do they say in Big Daddy, like lamb and tuna fish. But yeah, it's great that somebody is taking initiative, and I'm not saying that nobody tried to do it before, but I wasn't feeling any of the waves of that. But it's great that you've come in, especially with the experience that you've got, and have really tried to. This is more than just like this is what I want to do as Morgan. This is like, let's bring the community together.
Absolutely.
These are humble acts that you're doing a lot at the expense of your time for the most part, and
but in the long run, it's all worth it. 100%.
Absolutely.
Like I said earlier, my kids will grow up in Burns, or they are growing up in Burns. They should have, just as much to do as people in Dixon do, right? It's a smaller community. It's spread out, outside of the city limits, but I'll say this: when people walk through the market, they literally stop and talk to every single vendor. They might not buy that pair of earrings that they were talking to, the vendor about. They're just so thankful to be there. And that's really what, that's what makes me proud, right? That's what all the hard work is for, is that people are just here with us, and they're willing to support us every day. We have the same people that come, and they might not be able to fit that last tomato in their fridge because they bought them the last week, but they love it, right? It's what they're doing. So we've had some people bring their blankets and their chairs and sit out and listen to the music, and they'll eat whatever the food truck is that we can get in that day, just because they're there just to hang out.
So what's the schedule like, just so everybody kind of knows? I mean, obviously it's probably on social media, but like, it's a
little crazy. We, as every first year thing, we have a lot of bumps, a lot of learning curves. We realize that Saturday mornings are hot. It is scorching down there on that field. We're doing some Friday night markets in July. So we have one this Friday, which by the time the podcast comes out, it might be after that. But the next one will be the 30th, because we have the BBQ Bash coming up, which we can talk about. But the 30th, and then we go back to some Saturdays whenever school starts, because football will come around. But we'll still throw in a Friday here and there. We were 2 times a month. As a first year market, that was probably smart. And then we added a whole bunch of dates come June and July. It was because it went so well.
So how many vendors do you typically have?
We have committed vendors. We have we started out with a little bit more, but we have about 15, and then we can go upwards to 32.
Okay.
It really just depends on, everybody's busy. Yeah. It's not a proven market where we have 450 people every time, but our busiest days are about 400 to 450, and that's a lot.
Wow. And are they mostly, are they all a lot of local people, or are you bringing them in? A lot
of local. Okay. We're bringing in a lot of people from Dixon. I do cross promote, but we need that right now, right? Like we need the support from everybody. And I think that our market also shows what the market, farmers markets in general with COVID were so important to Nashville, and not just Nashville, but like any city, because they couldn't go just anywhere and pick up what they needed or have that conversation about where it was coming from. And especially that people were just getting back to their roots. They were really like embracing the nostalgia, and markets really lost their luster, before that, because they weren't catering to everyone. Not everybody wants to come and buy their produce there, or not everybody wants squash, right? So we kind of saw that there was a need for the market, and we have moved forward with, that idea of that, what the need is. And now people can buy local. They can buy anything local. Probably the only thing that we don't have is clothes, right? Like
which I've said several times before, is that there's a lot of nice little women's boutiques, and there's I think there's one a really nice one that's coming in as well too. But if you have any pull on this, I'd like a nice men's boutique would be great. Yes, if I could get some Vineyard Vines, clothes, or some Lucky Brand jeans or something in Dixon, I would most definitely do that. I've been
begging 1331 to be part of our market all the time, and she does some pretty cool other stuff, so I'm hoping that she gets involved. Cool. But we have Honest Roots is a local, they do woodwork and different things, but they also are Blooming Acres, which is a local farm, and they're great. So she is ever changing. Also Louis Linguini, they're some of our staples that we have. That's the fresh pasta, which is to die for. But more than that, it's exactly, just like High Cotton, like it is the market that Burns needs, and it changes every week, and we don't have the same people all the time, but it's exactly what we're shooting for. It exceeds my expectations for sure.
And you're keeping the money local too.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're keeping it away from the big box stores, and somebody may just need earrings, or somebody may just need some soap, and instead of ordering it off Amazon, they can make a day out of it and get some things, that they may not even thought they wanted.
And it's fun. People love that. We're a shopping bag free market. We do not provide anything in a plastic bag. We make them either bring their own. We don't make them, but we ask them to bring their own, and then they can purchase the bag, and that goes straight back to our marketing, and that kind of thing. We sell t-shirts and hats, and we probably have 2 t-shirts left out of the big huge order that we had in the beginning. People love it. So we could talk about the bash, because that's a fun,
that's coming up next. Coming up next, and I know we've met a couple times on it, and have just kind of chatted briefly, and then it's going to be big, and it's going to be awesome. And from what you've told me, I can't wait. So if you want to, I guess kind of maybe start at the genesis of, obviously
absolutely.
You seem to have just these kind of downloads of ideas and then act on them, which is fantastic. Too many people have these ideas and sit back and don't do anything.
Well, let's focus. So, actually, let me touch on the sitting on G, waiting on O.
Yes.
I'm always sitting on G, waiting on O. If somebody has some inkling of something that should be done, we're gonna shoot for the stars, right? So
we interrupt this episode with a message from our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by Boardable 615. Located in the heart of downtown Dixon, Boardable 615 is your home for craft meats and cheeses, local seasonings and spices, and spunky home decor. Check them out on Facebook, or pop in and pay them a visit at their downtown location at 128 North Main Street, Dixon, Tennessee. Now let's get back to it and enjoy the rest of this episode.
The Burns BBQ Bash, we used to do hoedowns in Burns. I mean, and fall festivals and all of that. And again, we are younger. a younger crowd in Burns, and we don't have our own festival. We don't have our own, summer fling or anything like that. So when we started talking about it, it's been in the works for a lot of years. Everybody wants to be, have this great thing in Burns. Well, one thing, we got all the organizations involved. Little League is involved. The Burns Cowboys are involved. Work Hard, Be Humble is involved, which is, basketball as well. The Parks Department, the City Council, everything. We also wanted something that was different. We did not want Dixon County's, or we didn't want what Dixon County does. Like Old Timers is very specific. We wanted something very, very specific to us. And that is the Burns BBQ Bash. So we have barbecue competitors. That's the heart. And they're actually going to be right in the middle. People will be able to walk around, look at, talk to the competitors kind of thing. And if that's not your thing, you're covered. Starting in the morning, we're doing a big fun run. So it's literally like a 9 to 10:30 kind of deal. So starting in the morning, there's a huge fun run. We're going down Johnson Avenue in College and doing a big loop. And I got word today that there might be a DJ. Sorry that it's not you, but you'll be there. You'll be there.
Yes.
There'll be a DJ for that. And then once they end, they'll go straight into the kids zone. We have field 2 of the old ballpark. It's actually everything is on the old ballpark. Every single inch is being utilized. Let's just say it that way. So 5 acres of fun.
Wow.
And including the gym. That's not including 5.5 acres of fun. So Work Hard, Be Humble, which is JP Prim is putting together, or he's done it in the past. COVID happened. He couldn't do it last year. It's a back to school bash where kids can come and get supplies they need. They have backpacks full of supplies. There will be a free, a few hairdressers so that they can get their hair done. It's the week before school. So they get their hair done. They can get their nails done by technicians and just be treated like an adult for the day. They get to, they get all these free things. They can get their nails done, get their hair done, and just, I don't know, just great, right? Like for kids.
Make somebody feel good right before they go back to school.
And it's hot, so they deserve a little bit of fun. They're probably, they only get to go, everybody's busy in Burns, but they only get to go to the pool. We're going to treat them like adults that day. So that's going to be fun. And there's a community stage right next to that. And there will be community artists all day on the community stage with everything from country to bluegrass to some rock. So then we can pop over to the cruise in, not a car show, cruise in. So people can come and go at their leisure. That'll be shutting down Herschel Street. So that's the main road that connects 96 to the stoplight, if anybody knows about that in Burns. So it's the road that's on the ball field. So that will be cruise in. That part. So
is that just going to be just any kind of
classic car, souped up car? I learned that souped up was not SOUP. It's SUP. Somebody corrected me online. Souped up car.
Of course
and,
they did.
They can come and go as they please. And then the community stage will be right there as well. So they'll get to enjoy. And then the field number 1 is where we have a beer garden. So we have some local beer, some, your classic domestics, and some fresh non-alcoholic mocktails, if you will. That will be there along with the live music stage, like our big, huge stage, like live music all day. People can come and bring their chairs. They can bring their blankets and sit out and listen to music literally all day. And you get to MC for us.
Yes,
that
I'm
day.
super pumped about that. I got the old test run at the Dixon Street Festival, so we'll give it another go.
I was like,
here.
hey, I don't know if you know, but you're going to be MCing for us too. As it's sad. So there'll be the live music, and we'll have a tent there that is essentially going to be all donated. Like all the food sold that day will be donated back to the city, which is great.
Cool.
That was something that my family was really, my family grew up here too, right?
Sure.
They were young when they moved to Tennessee, and they don't live here now. They moved back to Ohio, sadly, but my dad was very, very involved in the barbecue community, very involved with all the school events, and this is his way to like give back one more time, right? And that's awesome. So cool. They'll be doing the barbecue plates there, and that will be given back to the city. And then have our vendors, right? We've got barbecue, we've got ribs. Ott's Barbecue is our home team vendor, which is great. They're blowing up.
Oh yeah, they're doing
Wesley
great.
and Victoria are great people. So of course they are going to be a part of our event, right? And then we have a few, like Freshies is coming, and Smoking Willie's with ribs.
Cool.
Lots of artisan vendors as well. And then
So these, let's just kind of clear the air on some things. So
Sure.
it's a barbecue competition, but it's not necessarily the sanctioned, or is it
it's
sanctioned?
not sanctioned.
Okay.
No, we are backyard. So that's
Okay.
a rabbit hole of fun. So we're backyard, which means that anybody can enter, and we have judges that are not professional.
Okay.
Right.
Sure.
They will be given a crash course on what to judge on, but we have our city council officials, big people in our community that we feel, it's necessary to honor them as a judge that
Cool.
day.
And the people competing may not necessarily be selling their barbecues. Is that how that-
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So
But then you're bringing in the food trucks either way.
yeah, so it's not, so the barbecue competitions are not, if you don't have a health license, you cannot
Sure.
sell food, right? So barbecue competitions are a way for people to, get involved in something, right? It brings a really good crowd. Everybody will be able to walk around said vendors. If they want to donate a
Sure.
bite, they're more than welcome to.
Sure.
They cannot legally like here, try my food, but we want the community to get involved. So next year, our goal, this year was hard. There's a
Yeah.
huge meat shortage in the
Oh yeah, I mean,
industry
trying
right
to have
now.
a barbecue competition right now and you actually pulling it off is fantastic.
Yeah.
But I wanted to kind of get that out there because I know Dixon had tried to do it in the past, and there may be, and there was a misunderstanding as far as how it worked. But I think you guys are in conjunction doing some great things as far as being
Yeah.
not misleading, but also throwing in the food trucks and also the
Yep. It's
other
all
kind of
barbecue
vendors and stuff
themed.
like that as well
Yep,
too.
yep.
So you will be able to eat, you will be able to enjoy yourself. The music
Yeah, and
and
you'll
other
be able
things
to
as well
talk
too.
and see. I mean, the
Yeah.
smell alone, we're gonna be able to smell it down, like on this side of town. But the smell alone is gonna be great. But people will be able to see. There's a huge grilling community here.
Oh, yeah.
Huge.
The grill mob, is that
The
what it
grill
is?
mob.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should give them a shout out. The grill mob's great. I didn't even know that existed, right? And everybody's asking me like, well, what kind are you using the money muscle? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what is this going on? Like bone in what? So, but there is a huge meat shortage. We were unable to secure a lot of meat for us to donate to us for the competitors. So next year, our goal would be to have the meat provided for them, and then they can give out as much as they want. And they have to provide it this year. So there might not be like enough surplus of taste, but if they want to, they can.
Sure.
They can give out the rest that's left over. We'll be providing the volunteers with food under the big tent, the green and white tent. So like our plated food, they'll be able to. So otherwise, the rest is for the community. But that judging goes down from 1 to 2.
Okay.
So everything, it's going to be madness from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. with the competitors. They'll be, they're actually setting up on Friday night. They're allowed to come in, they set up, and they do a long cook with the pulled pork.
Okay.
Some people like to smoke their pulled pork for 14 hours or however long, right? We're not doing brisket. Brisket's really hard to find right now. So it's just pulled pork, chicken, and ribs. And they will turn in starting at 1, and that's per meet with our judges. And it's just, from what I understand, if anybody watches any type of grilling or competition TV show, barbecue pitmasters, then you know that it's real intense and go from there. So we also are doing a poker run. So the poker run is in with the Burns Cowboys. Burns Cowboys are our that's their field, their home field.
Sure.
And they are having a donation.
Is the poker run like with motorcycles or something?
Yeah, they're doing it's a ride for the Cowboys. So it's organization based. People are allowed to sign up, online, and then at each stop. So we have 4 sponsored stops. Around the county. It goes all the way around the county, ends back at the BBQ Bash, and it's for the Cowboys. So the registration fees and all that, there's a nice big prize at the end, but they get a card if they have a motorcycle to sign up. They get a card at each stop, and then they present that card or their hand at the end, and then whoever has the best hand wins.
So they pay to enter. And the money goes back to the football team.
And then, but there is a prize. Yeah, there's a cash prize at the end. Most of the time, because motorcycle riders are great, they end up giving them right back. So there will be a 50-50 drawing for that too, and that's always a great time. And then we haven't touched on our kids zone. Kids zone's big. Yeah. So also Little League and the Cowboys, specifically the Cowboys, we have a girl, Ashley Andrews, who has been great help with all this. She is setting up, there's a dunk booth, a bounce house. There's like, if anybody's been to like the Irish picnic, we're kind of basing it off of that. So there'll be like 20 different activity tables. They'll be able to buy a wristband for the day. They can play as many things as they want to do all day, and then that money will go back to the organization as well. Cool. Yeah, and then there's a really, really nice silent auction that will be in the beer garden because it's adult friendly. There's great bottles of liquor, and I don't know if I can say that online, but it'll be
worth something to bid on.
Something to bid on.
If you win, you're going to be happy if you take it home.
Kids can't take that home. So.
Sure.
And then the artists and vendors, right? There's all of that fun stuff. We've got some really great outside.
So how many vendors are you thinking you're going to have?
Right now we've got 20. I think there was 2 more that signed up. 20 barbecue competitors, and I know 4 people who have not signed up who are verbally confirmed.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot.
So we're looking at a lot for our first year, and then we've got about 35 artists and vendors who will be there. And there's lots of involvement with the community, lots and lots and lots. We've got churches involved. We've got local businesses. First Federal sponsored our main stage, and they were willing to do it right off the bat, which is wonderful. We've got it's like a photo booth, cotton candy. I mean, you name it, right? Like just there's so many moving
something to do
parts
for everybody,
every single person. We touched on every single age, and then the fun part is the music goes till 10:30.
Cool.
And then after the music, we'll have a little fireworks show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's exciting. We just found that out today. So
good for you.
Yes, that's great. So it's literally going to be an all-day festival, and we expect a lot of people, and our community is ready. Like we are ready. We were sitting on G, waiting on O.
Well, right. I think that, how pleased everybody was with the street festival, it's going to kind of just roll right into like, oh, my gosh, we can actually pull this off, and that's huge because you can plan and put all this stuff together, but there's no support. That doesn't happen, and so. And
that's what's important too, is that we can, as a county, support other communities, right? Like we can support like White Bluff, Charlotte, Van Leer, Dixon. We can all support each other. We're all in the same, everybody's in it together. And the success with the festival, it really does prove to us that ours will be great too, right? Like, why not? Everybody works really
10
hard.
10 minutes down the road from the city limits. I mean, it's just, it's extremely doable, and the support system's here. And you've been, from what you've been telling me, just showcasing the whole, what do you call it? You're going around everywhere putting signs up and marketing.
We've gone outside of the county too.
Yeah.
Because there are neighboring communities as well. Burns affects Fairview, Pegram, Kingston Springs. We're involved with, I went out to Tennessee City yesterday, but cool. we're involved because, like I said, we're the entrance to the county. There's no reason that we can't, be that for everybody, right? Sure. And as we grow as a community, we will continue to put on great festivals and dinners and fundraisers and that kind of thing for sure. And I'll say that if we had to define what makes Burns and what's important, is that I know that the hospitality that I grew up in, it resonates through our community. Like we're ready for that. We are ready to make the answer yes for everybody. We are ready to put in the time and the effort to make it even better than what it is.
Yeah. And I host trivia Thursday nights at Furnace, and I always see younger couples come in that I don't recognize, and I always make it a point to go up to them and see kind of what their deal is. And the majority of the time they just moved into Burns. They're a young family or whatever it may be. It's people that have kind of grown out of the party scene in Nashville for the most part. Maybe have a child and don't want to live in Davidson County and pay that much, so they're coming out to Burns. But they still have those needs, those desires Absolutely. To have a good meal, to have a good drink, and not have to go very far.
Yeah.
And that's what's coming to Burns and Dixon as well. But I think you're absolutely right. The funnel is full, and the demand is there, obviously.
Yes,
so
100%.
To bring that stuff into the Burns community is crucial. And timing is everything too. You don't really want to kind of. I know right now the building material supply space is just so inflated at the moment, but to go ahead and kind of lock those ideas down, to get the zoning stuff done and whatever it may be, that way when the time is right, strike and just boom, you're right there.
There's a wonderful park in Burns called Lonesome Park. A lot of people don't know about it, but if you are, I mean, unless you're really paying attention on social media, or if you even look whenever you're driving down 96, you're gonna miss it, right? So the Lonesome Cabin coming from Dixon is on the right on 96. It's a 1-lane gravel road that opens up into a gorgeous pad. Underneath the trees, there's a creek, there's trails, there's the old settlers cabin. That is an extremely underutilized park that Burns has. And Miss Gail that I've met and we've become fast friends, who she cannot wait to do more things at Lonesome. We will eventually be moving our farmers market to Lonesome.
Cool.
We'll be able to they'll be able to pull their car right in and essentially have the market out of the back of their car, or set up that way. And it'll be covered and shaded and beautiful. And there's a pavilion there for people to have lunch at. I mean, just the possibilities are endless. If we move forward with the, fall harvest idea for dinners, our fundraisers can be at Lonesome. It's an extremely underutilized space that is one of the most gorgeous places in the county.
Yeah, it's like probably one of the oldest buildings in Dixon County as well too.
I think so. I think that
it's like the Revolutionary War.
Mr.
Or
Spurlock
something.
has touched on that a couple times,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yes, and it's honored that way, 100%. And they'll also be like the Lonesome Cabin group. They'll be at the Barbecue Bash,
cool.
telling people about that, right? Like that there is this place in the county that's wonderful and beautiful, and please bring your family out, to enjoy it. And they put a lot of hard work, the Parks and Rec department and all of that. So that's exciting. In addition to the park, what's also great about Burns is that the amount of people who want to be involved is there. So it won't always have to be 1 or 2 people all the time doing everything. I'm 100% confident that we as a community, will be a fast moving community, whether or not, building materials available or whatever. But it doesn't take, like we created the market with no building material, right? We created a something that we did not have to go to Lowe's and buy a screw. And that's great. So we as a community are continuing with that. And we were at our city council meeting last night, and it was very productive because of the bash. But we came together, and there were probably 10 new people in the room.
Oh,
and they're like, we're new to this town, and we're really, really excited about this. And we came today because we wanted to be supportive. And that's one of the best feelings, right? And I'm not part of council, or I'm not part of government. You don't get too many
people that go to a city council meeting just to see.
Yeah,
they usually got something
there
on the agenda or whatever, but to have somebody go and just support
that's great.
Is huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where we're basing our forward moving, ideas with Burns. Cool. For sure. I'm not in government or anything, but I care, and there's a lot of people that care, and that's great.
Sure. Yeah. There's always that kind of quiet group that cares, and may kind of take a little action, but to have somebody such as yourself spearhead something, whichever way, and then to have kind of the wind in your sails on it with all that support is massive, Yes,
I grew up here, and still there's not many new places in Burns that there was when I grew up there, but and then also being able to utilize Dixon too, right? So excited to move forward, becoming part of the chamber, and downtown Dixon is great, and I'm happy to represent Burns in any way that I can.
Cool.
With our young group of people who are making moves and shakes.
Yeah. So just real quick, we got a couple minutes. What do you need specifically to kind of tie up some loose ends on, as far as money or donations or table purchases or sponsorships or anything for the BBB? Is there anything that's kind of topping your list?
The BBB would love some small table sponsorships. What we kind of based our sponsorship, idea around was like somebody doing $100 donation for a table. And what that would do would, help with the cost of the table, the chair, whatever it may be, whatever activity is going on there. So like a judging table, right? So there's things that are needed to judge said. And like the idea was that the $100 would cover that. You'd be well represented, even on social media. And you'd have your name out there, and that would help us just make it more of a community effort, right? Like whatever it is for that table. So there's the kids zone, there's, stuff inside the beer garden. We're still waiting on our beer garden sponsorship. That's hopefully coming tomorrow. If not, anybody can do it. But they're just small. We weren't asking, it's not that we're asking for a lot. We're just trying to cover our basis on some smaller stuff. So for us to be able to provide the fireworks and the music all day, we're just asking for a little bit of help on small things.
Cool.
So.
Well, so far it seems like it's, everything is, at least in front of the scenes is coming together. I know that planning something like this just seems like absolute mayhem, but
it's okay. Next year will be look great.
You just got to get the foundation laid.
Yeah,
you got to,
absolutely.
like I was saying about the Street Fest, you've got to, now you know what the beast is. Once it's over, you know what it is. Because right now it's all kind of just malleable, and once you pull that ripcord, it's go time. And you've got people there like me and some other people as well too to kind of help in the assistance of
we
keeping
have lots of volunteers.
Yes.
We just got lots of volunteers.
That's awesome.
That was a struggle in the beginning, but I think we have 30 volunteers that have signed up in 3 days.
Cool.
We opened up some online volunteer applications to make that a little bit easier for everybody. They can give us their name, number, t-shirt size, that kind of thing. You do get a free t-shirt. But the community, once we got on social media, was like, look, we need a little bit of help. If everybody could just sign up, it's been flooding in, and we're thankful for that for sure. So there will be a lot of people there to help with all of our moving parts, all the special things that are happening that day. There's 2 stages, all the activities, the food, everything. It'll be intense, cool. But it's gonna be really great. We're super excited. We're super excited.
So that's July 24th, right?
July 24th, yes.
In Burns. When does it start?
We're we say the fun starts at 9, but actual fun is at 10. Our first band goes on at 10. Okay. Our last band goes on at 9.
Okay, cool. Full day worth of fun.
Full day
right there in Burns. Cool. That's awesome. Real quick, I finished up with 3 questions for the most part, just in regards to you, and then we'll get out of here. So, what are 3 words that describe yourself? Do you have
3 words? Hard working woman.
There you go. I like that. Yes. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
My best piece of advice, probably to not give up. Well, my mom used to wake me up every morning, and she would say, I want you to remember, Morgan, that you're a be positive, not be negative. And what that meant is that my blood type was be positive, and she would say, you're be positive, not be negative. And so with that being said, whenever I'd go to school or whatever that day, and it was always about being positive and always taking the low road, always making people fans of you by giving back to them first, making yes the answer. So the best piece of advice would be from my family, that's don't give up, just keep going, because your positivity is what's going to carry you there for sure. Yeah.
And what's the worst piece of advice you've ever gotten?
Worst piece. Don't give up. No, I'm kidding. The worst piece of advice is from my chef one day. We were that was at Skulls. We were serving this really, really large prefix, and I had made some dessert that day, and he was like, don't serve this dessert, it's not good, whatever. And I looked at him and I was like, your advice is nothing to me. And so that sounds horrible. And then I pulled a plate of the dessert straight to him, and I was like, here, try it. And this was like right after, you know, the prime rib, everything's great. Everything great went out. And he was like, all right, this is the best dessert that I've ever had. And I was like, see, I will never take your advice ever again. I don't know if that counts, but the worst people advice. Yeah, the worst people advice.
Don't serve the dessert.
don't serve the dessert because I'm going to serve it anyways, for sure.
That's awesome. Well, cool. Thank you, Morgan, for stopping in.
Yeah, I really appreciate you having me today.
Absolutely.
Look forward to working together with everybody. So
yeah, no, you're obviously a hustler and work hard and care, which are three, you know, unique factors.
Sitting on G, waiting on O. That's absolutely
exactly right. Cool. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. I truly appreciate it. Be sure to like, share, and follow and subscribe on YouTube, please. It's huge. Follow us on Spotify and Apple and Google Podcasts. It just makes everything work better. And gets the word out. And I got an email the other day from a realtor saying that she has a new client that came in from Florida that started listening to the podcast and became even more super pumped about moving here. So
yes.
Obviously it's touching some people and making some changes. So that's all I could ask for. So
we have lots of people moving here from California too.
Absolutely.
And they are always like, what do you do for one? What's going on? And we always, you know, we will spread the word about the podcast for sure.
Please do. Yeah. I try to get as many people in here that make a difference and that care as possible. So hopefully it resonates with at least one person. That's all I care about. So thanks again for listening. Hope you enjoyed the episode and have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Bye.
Thanks again to Boardable 615 for sponsoring this episode. Be sure to check them out on Facebook or pop in and pay them a visit at their downtown Dixon location located at 128 North Main Street, Dixon, Tennessee. If you're interested in sponsoring an episode, please reach out to me directly via email at yourvibespodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening, and always remember, stay vibey, my friends.